Imagine telling a soldier in the 1980s that one day, wars wouldn't just be fought with tanks, jets, and infantry, but with flying robots controlled from thousands of miles away. Back then, it would have sounded like pure science fiction, but today, drones are at the very center of modern warfare. They scout enemy positions, strike with deadly precision, and even launch suicide attacks with no pilot on board. Entire battles, even entire wars, have been shaped by drones. In this video, we're diving deep into the incredible story of how drones completely transformed the battlefield. So stick around. And before we begin, if you're fascinated by secret weapons and cutting-edge military tech, make sure to hit that subscribe button. The idea of pilotless aircraft isn't actually new. Experiments go back as far as World War I, when engineers tried to create rudimentary flying bombs. In World War II, both the Allies and the Axis experimented with remote-controlled planes, but the technology just wasn't ready. It wasn't until the late Cold War that drones really began to take shape. Israel was one of the first to show the potential. In the 1982 Lebanon War, Israeli drones successfully tricked and overwhelmed Syrian air defenses, paving the way for manned jets to strike safely. This opened the world's eyes. Drones weren't just gadgets. They could save lives and win battles. The US took notice. By the 1990s, American engineers were testing the RQ-1 Predator, a clunky-looking but revolutionary surveillance drone. With cameras streaming live video to operators on the ground, commanders could, for the first time, watch battlefields unfold in real time. It might not sound like much today, when we're used to live streams on our phones. But back then, it was a revolution. Before drones, reconnaissance meant sending pilots into dangerous skies or relying on spy satellites that only passed overhead occasionally. The Predator changed that. Flying slowly but quietly, it could loiter over an area for hours, even days, without being noticed. Troops on the ground suddenly had eyes in the skies 24/7. In places like Bosnia and later Afghanistan, this meant spotting enemy convoys before they moved. It meant directing artillery fire with pinpoint accuracy. It meant avoiding deadly ambushes because the Predator had already seen them. Imagine being a commander who, instead of waiting for grainy photos, could now watch live footage of enemy movements. That changed everything. But there was one obvious question. If a drone can watch a target for days, why can't it also destroy it? In the early 2000s, engineers strapped Hellfire missiles to the Predator. Suddenly, the unarmed scout became a hunter-killer. During the War on Terror, these armed drones changed the game. High-value targets could be tracked, confirmed, and eliminated without sending in jets or risking pilot lives. The first lethal drone strike happened in Afghanistan in 2001. From that moment on, warfare was never the same. Imagine being on the ground, thinking you're safe, and then, out of nowhere, a drone you can't even see fires a missile from the sky. That fear factor alone reshaped conflicts. Of course, controversy followed. Civilian casualties raised ethical questions and debates over remote killing began. But militaries around the world took one lesson. Drones worked, and they worked well. The Predator was just the beginning. Its successor, the MQ-9 Reaper, took everything to the next level. Think of the Reaper as the Predator's big brother, larger, faster, able to carry more weapons, and capable of staying in the air for more than 24 hours straight. A single Reaper could circle a target, track it for hours, then strike with precision, all without ever putting a pilot in harm's way. By the mid-2000s, Reapers were flying missions across the Middle East. They weren't just support tools anymore. They were shaping entire strategies. Some military analysts even called the Reaper the most feared aircraft in the world. Not because it was the most powerful, but because enemies knew they could never hide from it. But America wasn't the only player in the game. Other countries quickly realized they needed drones too. Israel developed the Hermes 450 and Heron drones, selling them to countries around the world. China began producing its own systems, like the Wing Lung, offering them at lower prices to African and Middle Eastern nations. Suddenly, drones weren't rare or secret anymore. They were spreading across the globe, changing the balance of power even for smaller nations. Which brings us to one of the most famous drones of all, The Bayraktar TB2 built in Turkey became a household name almost overnight. Why? Because it showed the world that you didn't need billions of dollars to use drones effectively. The TB2 was cheaper, smaller, and less advanced than the American Reaper, but it didn't matter. It worked. And it worked well. In Libya, Syria, and especially the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh War, TB2s were filmed destroying tanks, artillery, and air defense systems with shocking precision. Those clips went viral online, turning the Bayraktar into both a military tool and a symbol of modern warfare. For smaller countries, the TB2 was proof that they too could wield air power like the big players. Next came a terrifying innovation, Kamikaze drones, also called loitering munitions. Unlike Predators or TB2s, these drones aren't meant to come back. They hover above the battlefield, waiting for a target, then dive in and explode. Russia uses Lancet drones this way. Iran produces Shaheds, which have been exported and used in massive swarms. The US has Switchblades small enough to be carried by a single soldier in a backpack. What makes them so powerful is the price. For the cost of a single interceptor missile, you could launch dozens of kamikaze drones. The economics of war suddenly tilted in favor of offense, and when hundreds of these are launched at once, it's nearly impossible to stop them all. But one of the strangest developments came from hobby drones, the kind people race in competitions. Soldiers began strapping explosives to FPV racing drones. Operators wear goggles and fly them as if they're inside the cockpit. It looks like a video game. But the explosions are horrifyingly real. These drones can chase down tanks, fly into bunkers, or even zip straight into enemy trenches. They're cheap, fast, and incredibly hard to stop. For just a few $100s, a soldier can destroy a $1 million vehicle. That completely changes the math of modern warfare. But the most chilling evolution of all might be swarms. Instead of one drone, imagine hundreds, all flying together, coordinating like a hive of bees. Anti-air systems are designed to stop a handful of incoming missiles. But what happens when 100 drones attack at once from every angle? This isn't science fiction anymore. The US, China, and other nations are already testing drone swarms. Videos show dozens of drones launching simultaneously, flying in formation, then diving onto targets. In the future, it may not be tanks or fighter jets that decide battles, but swarms of autonomous drones overwhelming everything in their path. Of course, with every new weapon comes a new defense. Militaries are racing to develop anti-drone systems, electronic jammers that cut off communication between a drone and its operator. High-powered lasers that literally burn drones out of the sky. Even interceptor drones designed to ram or capture enemy drones mid-air. It's an endless cycle, drones versus anti-drones, offense versus defense. Just like tanks and anti-tank weapons, or planes and anti-aircraft guns. The race never ends. So what does all this mean for the future of war? It means the battlefield is no longer about who has the biggest tank battalions or fleets of jets. It's about who controls the skies with unmanned machines. Drones have leveled the playing field. Small nations now have access to air power that used to belong only to superpowers. Guerrilla groups and militias can now strike with the precision of advanced militaries. This is why many experts call drones the biggest military revolution since the invention of the tank, or even the atomic bomb. Not because of the scale of destruction, but because of how completely they've changed strategy. And here's the thing, we're only at the beginning. The next generation of drones will be smarter, faster, and maybe even fully autonomous. Artificial intelligence could soon control entire swarms, making decisions in real time without human input. So, what do you think? Are drones making the world safer by reducing the need for human soldiers? Or are they dragging us into a darker future of endless robotic wars? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more hidden military tech stories, and check out my other video, 10 secret military weapons that actually exist. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.